Hello, here we are once again with Mookie Tenembaum. We are exploring through this series of videos his philosophy, his disillusionism, and his misalgic theory about how human behavior is or could be explained by the aversion to suffering. As many of you know, month after month for years now, we've been trying to illustrate some of these concepts with facts from everyday life. We're trying to keep it as concrete as possible. At times, we've even covered the news during the pandemic, during the war between Russia and Ukraine. And today, we are going to dwell into an abstract concept, of course, but one that is very much a part of everyday life. It's the concept of faith. But of course, we are going to deal with faith from a disillusionist point of view, from a misalgic point of view, not at all from a religious point of view, but it's faith under the grasp of this philosophy.
The first thing we have to do is to define faith. I can define faith, first of all, by saying what it is not. It is not a logical process. There is no logic behind faith. That means it's not a mental process. That means it is not done in a way that so if it's not that, what is it? The answer is it's a sentiment, it's an emotion. It's like anger, the same thing. Yes, you feel angry as you feel you have faith. Again, the word in English, it's interesting because it says, or in other languages, to have faith. Yes, it's like a thing. Yes, it could be like to have smallpox. Yes, to have something. It's not. The second important thing about faith that we know is that it's intermittent. That means, how do I know? Because like everything else, if it doesn't happen while you sleep or when you sleepwalk, then it happens only when you don't sleepwalk, which is a few minutes a day, possibly a day. That means it's very intermittent. When it happens, when they ask you. So, it's very simple. I am Jewish all the day. No, I'm Jewish when somebody asks me, or I have to say something about being Jewish. The rest of the day, I'm not Jewish. I'm Mookie. I'm not even somebody. Yes, I'm sleepwalking. I'm in a sleepwalking mode. So faith appears when somebody extracts that from you. Either they ask you, or you are supposed to do something about it. But the question is, where did it come from? Why do we have this emotion? And what will be my view on evolutionary advantage of having that emotion? And the answer is, if you have future, you have faith. The moment we have the computer number 2, in which we learn that we create time by thinking about past and the future, the moment I have the future, I have to be able to have a piece of faith every time I speak about the future. For example, tomorrow the sun is going to come out. Yes? Everybody will say, absolutely yes, absolutely yes. Is it 100% sure? No. Tomorrow there could be a meteorite we haven't seen, or a flame from the sun that destroys the earth, and much more other things that I cannot think about.
We're gonna.
But of course, the chances are very small. That piece of chances, that little piece of chances, it's covered by faith. So we have faith. When we think about future, there is a component of faith. What's special about that faith is that faith can change, will change, in fact, if certain facts appear. If there is going to be an asteroid tonight that's going to destroy the earth, then I will not say tomorrow the sun will come up. Probably I will not say many other things, but I will not be with that assertiveness, because obviously the facts change. That's what makes it very special, that kind of faith. Now, that faith became the faith in a God. It took it was like a projectile in which we took that sentiment and we took it up to believing in God. Why? The answer is because this is the best way to sleepwalk in many cases. When I don't know something, if I have faith, I can act as I know it. And then I can continue to sleepwalk. If I have a problem and I cannot solve it, then I cannot sleepwalk. So knowledge gives me one part, and of course, faith fills the gap, okay? The problem is that that material that we use to fill the gaps, Florencio, that material became the thing itself. We are doing things out of that material, which was there only to fill the gaps. So we don't stumble when we walk. What do you think about all this, Florencio? I know it's a lot of assertions.
I like the hypothesis connecting faith to this irrational belief that's basically needed to deal with uncertainty going forth. I mean, what we call a leap of faith, that's attached to every step forward we take in life, I would say. In that sense, it's necessary. The bit when it becomes organized, the bit when it becomes something out of itself, as you say, that's a different issue altogether. But I wanted to ask you about the emotional, the sentiment connection you made in the beginning, and you made a comparison, which I think is good, with anger. Some people might argue with us that faith is not an emotion. They would all still agree that anger is. And the thing is, when in anger, you can act upon it or not. Usually emotions still live out a degree of control, one would say. Sometimes you can hold off emotions. Does this also apply to faith as you understand it here?
Well, it should, but it doesn't. You know, of course, when I'm angry and I am let's say my automatic thing will be to hit at something. Of course, I will never do that because I have a computer number 2 that tells me that this is not going to, and this is not going to be good. And I have my computer number 3. You should not do that to that person. Those two things will block me from taking my anger to the next step. Now, there is one interesting. That's one difference. We don't do that with faith, ever. We should do that. When somebody says, you know, this will happen, and this is what I believe, you should be able to find the proof and disprove it. But nobody is ever being disproved of faith, because faith is not subject to proof. That's the beauty of faith. It's not subject to proof. That's it. Somebody comes, it's like playing poker, and suddenly a guy comes and says, puts a joker in the table. It's not part of the game. That's it. The joker. You can't do anything else. Finish, over. It's my joker, and I won the game. That's it. So that's the second part that you have is that, as I say, is that you cannot anger. You can change your sentiment. It can change. If you are angry at somebody, and suddenly you realize that he is not the guilty part, but in fact he was trying to help you. Many times happens. Your anger disappears. Your anger, or at least to that guy, disappears. It's gone. Faith doesn't work that way. It should. Yes, somebody proved there is no God, or there is no, or 13 is not a bad number, or I don't whatever. And you see, I didn't talk only about gods. That's the important thing.
No.
Atheists have faith. Okay, I mean, this is not a question of religious people. They have they have a huge amount of external faith. This is another point that has to do with faith. Faith is for talking. Faith is for export in most cases. Why? Because that's the way faith is being perceived. It's being perceived as a collective and gregarious, aggregarious, yes, to aggregate yourself to the rest. So faith has many other things, but I'm sure you have other questions to ask me, and before I continue in my diatribe.
No, but it's interesting because I was precisely going to ask you about this, I would say, collective, social end of the matter. You said it was part of sleepwalking. I agree. We have discussed a lot how sleepwalking connects to imitation. I think that's a big part of what we are tapping into now with the gregarious aspect. But also, I wanted to ask you about the role of faith in what you call the sink, the role of faith in the way we sleepwalk with each other and not only alone. I mean, I understand we could speak about an absolutely individual, personal faith, but that's not usually the case. We are discussing imitated beliefs that tend to coincide and merge with each other, right?
Beliefs are imitated, and we know because 95% of the people have the religion of the parents, yes? Mm-hmm. But 95% of the people in Argentina are fans of the same football team. No, parents and children. If my father is from River Plate, which is not, fortunately, because I have a team, I do have a team, I would be probably from the same team. Why? Because I imitate. But that's exactly like faith. It works exactly like faith. Exactly. I have my colors. I don't care. I will never stop being a fan of the Ravens, the Washington Ravens, for the American audience here, or some other soccer team in England. You know, I will always be a fan of that team if it loses also. So faith works the same way. If faith did not work because you wanted something and you had faith that something happened and it did not happen, there is always the backup, the joker, the joker of the joker. You remember being faith having it? There is a joker of the joker, and that is God works in mysterious ways. And that's it. And with that, you explain, for example, 1 million children died in Auschwitz. When you go to the religious Jews and ask them, what kind of God allows 1 million children to be murdered in a concentration camp? They answer you, God is working in mysterious ways. He's mysterious. And that's it. And with that, you didn't like my faith card? Okay, here goes. My God works in mysterious card. This is the second joker they throw to your game. So you cannot argue with that. There is no argument. There is no way you can argue because God can do no wrong. I have faith in God. That's it. It's perfect. The only problem is that it's not that when this is combined with reality, it doesn't work. But the question is, now we take this faith, and this faith has, as you say, has a together effect. That together effect makes people to synchronize their sleepwalking better with each other. On Sunday, I go to church at the same seat with the same neighbors to the seats, and I will say the same words, and I will think the same thoughts, and the whole thing will be done, and all that sleepwalking. Now that's fantastic. The people at church do not have faith. I'm going to say it again. People who are in a church, almost all of them have no faith at that time. At that time, because they're sleepwalking.
We've talked a lot about epics in this series of videos. I think you're saying now that the role of faith in our life is also greatly exaggerated, that even the most faithful of people only are driven by that kind of emotion in the very short periods of time in which they are not sleepwalking or sleeping, right?
Florencio, I am tall. I am tall all day, you could say, yes. But the truth is that I am tall in two cases: when I have to reach something that my wife can't, and I am tall when I'm in a bus and I cannot fit my legs inside of the chair. The rest of the time, I am not tall. In fact, I'm nothing. I'm just sleepwalking. It is the same happen with every emotion. Remember, to have an emotion, you have to be awake. You have to be in intentional mode. Emotion is not compatible with sleeping and is not compatible with sleepwalking. And that's almost all day.
We're almost out of time. I want to take you back to this sort of conflict between the emotional and the rational, between faith and knowledge, belief and understanding. I don't know exactly how to frame it, but I think there's something there that we should try to explain, because it's so prevalent. The situations you were describing are so familiar to me. When someone knows something or claims to know something, and this is contested not on the grounds of different knowledge, but on the grounds of belief.
Well, in general, the word belief comes as a shut up word. I have my belief. That's it. You can't argue with that. You cannot argue with my beliefs. Of course, I cannot argue with your anger either. I cannot argue with your life, because all sentiments are right. But in our conversation, this is not going to take us anywhere. So you have the Aristotelian view, in which Aristotle divided faith from facts. And he says, when we talk about science, it's science. When we talk about faith, it's faith. Nobody listens to him, and certainly not now. And there is another thing. Ignorance is frowned upon, which is I don't know why. So you cannot say, I don't know. No, I believe. You see, by saying you don't know, you expose yourself to somebody, badgering you with the knowledge you are missing, or with another knowledge. Remember that you don't know that when you know a fact, it's a fact. There is always a little bit of belief when you do that, not when you throw a stone into the water. You know it's going to go down. You don't need belief for that. But in other things that your son tells you that he took the bus to come back and not a taxi. I'm just thinking about it. When he came back home. That's it. I mean, there is a grain of belief, yes and no, because if somebody will come and show me that he didn't, then it's gone. Belief, the faith is the one that is invulnerable to facts. It's just, that's it. Facts cannot do anything to it. And it can create a conflict. And we know biggest conflicts were on faith, really, people killing each other on a faith. Again, think about it. We were talking about soccer. You play, there is a game of soccer. My team is the team I love, and it's the best. Is it the best? We'll see. There are championships, and then they lose or they win, and then they know. There are no championships for religions. There's no such a thing. The championship for religions were very common. They were called wars. Those were the championship of religion, in which people kill each other, and I don't understand. That means that the one that wins, their God is the right God. Apparently, that was there is
the
no
one true God.
The one true God is the one that wins. But also the other one is they doesn't matter if they kill almost everybody, they still believe in that. It doesn't matter. Much of this is talk. Much of this is imitation. They're not believing anything. They're just imitating the other one. The ones who are in church, they're imitating the rest of the people. When you go to a church for the first time or to a synagogue, and you don't want to you take a book and you make like you're doing something about it, so people will not feel uncomfortable. Because if you don't, you take them out of the sleep book.
The prevalent emotion there might be shame and not faith, right? In those kinds of situations. Amazing. We are overdue, but it's been very interesting. I'm sure some of these arguments will come back in different discussions. We are not done with these contradictions. Yes, well, those are the facts, and sometimes they are not nice most of the time, but those are the facts. That's what disillusionism is about, no? Facts. See you next time. Thank you, Mookie. See you next time, man.
If you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment and subscribe.